Alrighty, everybody, welcome to another episode of Buck the System. I'm your host, David West, and as you can see, today we are in a little bit more spacious environment than normal. I'm here with my man Travis Wolf. Travis is one of my best friends. We've known each other for going on 20 years now, and I'm sure if you've followed my work for a while, you recognize him. He played Saul, the military police officer turned... what's his name from Inglourious Bastards? The guy that kills all the Nazis. Turned what's that guy's name? Turned Hugo Stiglitz.
Everybody in the German army's heard of Hugo Stiglitz.
Yeah, he played the military police officer turned Hugo Stiglitz, Saul. He's in Enemies. Probably your biggest leading role was Dick Johnson.
Dick Johnson, yeah.
That's your favorite, at least.
It's my favorite. He's my alter ego.
Travis has wanted another Dick Johnson for like 6 years now.
Yeah, I've been telling you. I've been throwing around a few ideas of having post Dick Johnson, maybe even having it out here. And this is my abandoned airstrip. And I've been
yeah, if you're wondering where we are right now, we're at Travis's house. This is the view. We got the Table Rocks back there, local Southern Oregon landmarks, if you're familiar with the area. And I'm here because my wife is out of town at the moment. She's on a well-earned momcation with one of her old friends, one of her bridesmaids. They're both moms, and so they're doing a little momcation at, I guess, just at Dawn's house in Oklahoma, so it's not anything that exciting. But my wife is very happy to be there. So while she's gone, I went to my mom's house for a couple days after I dropped her off at the airport, so my mom can watch the kids and I can work. And this morning, I worked with Travis. I helped him do a move. He owns a moving company, and that's what we're going to talk about today because, weirdly, moving companies in Oregon are like bizarrely oppressed by the government.
Yeah, it was one of those things where when I was getting into it, I think I called you right away because I had no idea.
Yeah, because you bought the company
in June,
8 months ago now.
Yeah.
9 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so his brother was kind of like running the company, but another guy owned it.
Yeah,
and he wanted to get out, and so he sold it to Travis. And Travis and I had both worked for moving companies a lot in the past for other branches of this company.
Oh, and the name of the company is Skinny Wimp Moving Company.
Skinny Wimp Moving Company. If you're in Southern Oregon, definitely hire them, and maybe elsewhere because there are other branches.
Yeah, we're kind of all over. My brother went up to Eugene.
Start his branch.
Yep, started his branch. Actually, 3 of my brothers are up there in Eugene, and have an awesome guy. He's became a good friend to me and my brothers. Paul up in Portland, running that branch, and
some really manly beverages here.
Some sparkling water. So it's been going good, but just starting out, I just had no idea how much red tape there was and how much the moving industry was actually controlled.
Yeah, there was like a month-long stretch where you were transitioning into being the owner of the company, where you were calling me pissed off like every other day, and we talked for an hour just about all the nonsense you're dealing with. So. Tell us some of that. Like, what are the problems? Because I think a lot of people probably wouldn't realize this, and they would just think, well, obviously you have to pay taxes, and that's annoying, and taxation is theft. But that's kind of par for the course with running a business of any scale. Right. You just have to deal with that. But no, there's other weird stuff. Like, and I've kind of known about this for a long time. Like, I remember years ago, like. It was probably right after I got out of the Army, like 2011 or something.
You want to talk about the sting operation?
The stings, yes. Like when the economy was still really bad. I remember hearing about they were doing stings where and this is really messed up doing it when the economy's bad because these poor guys that are out of work, they have nothing but a truck. They go on Craigslist and they see a post saying, we need someone to come help us move at a storage unit. You got a pickup truck, come help us.
Right.
Guy would be like, I got a pickup truck. I'll go make $100 for a little 4 or 5 hour move. Sweet. Mm-hmm. I haven't worked in weeks. I need some money. I'm broke. And he'd show up, and it would turn out it was one of the local police departments setting up a sting operation, and they would give him a ticket for an unlicensed mover, and you'd see these news articles that would say like, like dozens.
Yeah, and it wasn't just because they didn't have a business license, and that was a weird thing, and that's what we didn't know until now. It was more than just that they weren't a legitimate business. It was that they weren't registered movers.
Right.
So one of the certificates that I had to get right off the bat, it's called a household goods application, and that's literally household goods, like, and it lists everything you can pick up
as if you're moving these dangerous materials.
Yeah, and so illegally, for someone to pick up a box in your house in the state of Oregon, they have to have a household good application.
Do you know if it's that way in other states, or I might have to look that up. And fact check us.
I do know, obviously, that with any certain businesses, with contractors, construction, all that kind of stuff, there are certain licenses you have to get and things like that. But it seems to be a lot more controlled, because the franchise headquarters, like, that's where we actually helped start the first Skinny Wimp 8 years ago in Southern California.
Yeah, his brothers especially did.
Yeah.
And then me and you, whenever we were down there for like film festivals or something, we'd stay down
out
there for a month and live by working for Skinny Wimp.
Yeah, it was awesome. So, but even them, he wasn't even understanding a lot of the paperwork and the things that we had to go through, and just like, well, what do you mean, just go? Why aren't you just going already? And he was actually upset at my brother this last year.
Lance, the founder.
A little bit. Sorry, Lance, if you were going to watch, but come on, he wasn't really understanding. It took Cooper almost 5 months straight of jumping through everything. It didn't take me as long because I was able to transfer a lot of the stuff over
right
into my name. But with them, they had to start from the ground zero, and it was 5 months.
Well, and mind you, Lance is starting this in like Simi Valley, so down in, was that LA County, or is that a different county?
I think it's technically Ventura County, but it's just
probably,
north of LA.
Yeah. And like down in Southern California, like the most oppressive nanny state part of the country.
Yeah.
And yet it was harder here, and like, I mean, you look where we are just right outside of town, but we're not exactly in like a bustling metropolis.
Right.
And it's harder to start it here than it is in Southern California.
Yeah, it was bizarre. And everything runs through ODOT, actually. So the Oregon Department of Transportation, they are the ones that not just giving you your ODOT number for your trucks and things like that. They actually are the ones that give you your certificate. You have to prove you're insured, have your licenses, and everything runs through them. And there's one, maybe two guys running everything, and so they just won't get back to you.
They're just slow because it's well, and it's not even, and they're government employees, so I'm sure they're unionized.
Yeah,
I'm sure they're these gross PERS employees. It's probably like some 55-year-old man who has worked there for 25 years. And waiting for his pension to kick in. And
so it was just a lot more red tape than we thought. And I was the biggest example that I can give. And especially to other states. So in California, they have a parameter set by areas on your pricing for hourly, and they'll say,
so depending, like if you're in a wealthier area, you can charge more, and they have a range, right?
Yes, and it's a range. Yeah. Exactly, it's a range pricing, and so you can be competitive. I still don't like that, right? That doesn't sound very.
Yeah, it should just be whatever you want to charge. If you're the fancy pants movers, you can charge $300 an hour. If you're some dude with the truck, maybe you got to charge like $75.
Exactly.
Who cares?
Exactly. But so even down there, though, you at least have the freedom, somewhat, right, to be able to charge and be a little bit competitive. And I think it was either a $50 or $75 price range parameter you can charge in between. But here, you
can give people a discount if you want to be nice.
Yes, and you can give people a discount. So you can actually say, we'll give you guys 5% off at like a retirement place or for veterans or something like that. And we actually got in trouble with that with the state here.
Here? With your company? I don't even know if I knew that.
Because corporate sent us a bunch of flyers that had 5% off veterans and seniors. And some of those are still out there. I still get those calls sometimes.
Right.
And but the point is, I can't give a discount to anybody.
You have one set price.
One set
that
price
you have to charge
that I have
based
to charge.
on just how many guys you have or whatever.
Yep. So two men and my moving truck is $101 and 35 cents an hour.
Like, these dickheads don't even have the courtesy to make it like 105, or it's almost like you'd rather just charge a flat 100.
Yeah.
So that at least someone that wants to pay in cash, they're not like, wait, you're serious?
Yeah.
You're charging me $200
And customers, they think it's funny. They think it's like bizarre.
Who would ever think of this? This is like the weird. It's. I mean, I'm sure if we dug deeper, we could find weirder forms of like licensing and government controls on industries around the country. But this is one of the weirdest examples I've ever run across.
And then what I always like to say is they really took, it's not an easy job, but they took one of the easiest concepts of a job, picking up heavy things for other people.
The way I described it to someone the other day, I was like, the government is literally trying to regulate like the real life version of a fetch quest from a video game.
Oh,
you know,
I don't know.
I don't really play video games, but they always in like RPGs they call it like the fetch quest. Like when you start out, it's like, go get this and bring it here.
Right.
Like moving is the most simple thing.
It is.
Like
absolutely.
It's why it's one of the main jobs I've done in my life outside of like, I'm working towards being a filmmaker and have a good skill there, but it can be a very hard skill to market. So in between, it's well, I'm pretty strong. I can go move heavy stuff for you.
Yeah, pick up some money.
And go make some money. You get pretty good tips. You make decent money. It's not something that everyone can do because you need to be fairly fit and good at working to do it.
Yep.
But it's like the easiest. It's monkey work. Like
it is. And they took it and they just had to complicate it, And I'm sitting here and I actually just got a new packet in the mail today. So I don't know. I know certain businesses you always have to update maybe your business book from the government if they're sending you new laws or regulations. But they're always constantly updating the book with all these things that I don't even know what they're talking about. I have no idea what they mean. There's no explanation at the beginning of the book of what this stuff is. You're just supposed to jump in and know what you're doing. And it's funny because even starting out in the beginning, I had a couple questions. Literally the guy, Brian, man, that's a good one. Yeah, I don't know, man. You just got to keep
the ODOT contact.
Yeah,
the ODOT point of contact.
Yes,
didn't know.
Brian.
Oh
ODOT.
My
gosh. literally, just man. Wow, that's a great question.
Well, and I mean, like, thankfully for you, you're like an actual intelligent person. I mean, you're like a libertarian, like anarcho-capitalist type.
Absolutely.
You're someone who's thought about stuff. You have like you had a little bit of college. You went to a private Christian high school. Like, how many guys who get into moving as like their lifelong career?
Right.
It's not a smart person's job.
Right.
Not that you're dumb because you do it, but like, there's not a high barrier of entry into this field.
Right.
There is because of the government.
But there is. Yeah, there is now.
You wouldn't think there is one. And so like, now you're making all this guy's like, man, I just wanted to drive around a truck and move heavy stuff. You're making him jump through all these hoops.
Yeah.
It just shows like how cruel the government is. I mean, it just goes back to like that whole sting operation thing.
Right.
How psychotic do you have to be to want to find somebody just for trying to make an honest like that's the most honest thing you can do. Help me move.
Well, and honestly, I really do like moving older people out of these retirement homes. If you guys know anything about Southern Oregon, this is like a retirement hub.
Yeah, to give some context to that, I think a lot of people who aren't listening, who don't live here, a lot of people who are listening who don't live here think of Oregon as like this very rainy state. But that's really just because you're thinking about Portland. Southern, I know it's kind of cloudy right now. It was sprinkling earlier, but southwestern Oregon, where we are right now, is very dry and temperate. It's almost like a Mediterranean climate is what they call it. And then I live just 90 minutes away over the hill on the side of Oregon where it's like a high desert that gets about as much rain every year as LA does. Mm-hmm. So especially this part of Oregon is so temperate and nice. It is like a retirement hub. People are coming up here all the time. We have a very we're like the Florida of the West Coast.
Totally. It's a very nice place to retire, and your money can go
super expensive.
Yeah, your money can go further here. We have great hospitals and everything like that. So it's very nice to be able to go in. And even charging our full price rates, like I can't feel bad about that. I feel good about our price still, even though it's regulated, because my guys do a great job. We have a very low breakage rate. We have low claim rate, right, for insurance purposes and all that, and it really, really helps people. But there's still that bummer. That's still that bummer when I'm going into a retirement place and I can't say, hey, I love working for you guys, and I want to take care of your folks here. I'll give them 5% off or 10% off. Like it actually kind of makes me sad a little bit that I can't do that.
You can't be. You literally, the government is not letting you be nice, and that's actually something that I've realized, because I remember when me and you first did some jobs for Skinny Wimp down in SoCal when we were down there for whatever. We went a couple of different times. You and I went down there for like a month at a time and just worked for them and did stuff, screwed around. Didn't have wives or anything yet to have us tied down and responsible. We were nomads.
Yeah, pretty much.
But I remember, like, you and I were both like, we were making pretty good money.
Yeah.
We'd be like, dude, we should start a moving company up in Medford. And then we kind of blew it off because we were like, no one up here is enough of a sucker to hire somebody to move, because down there,
right,
it was a lot of like young professionals having you move.
Right.
And so I didn't actually realize until then I started, 2 or 3 years ago when this branch was starting up and I started doing moves here, and it was a very different clientele. That's when I started realizing how nice it actually is. And I, like, the very first move I ever did, like 2 weeks after they'd started doing moves, since I'm self-employed, I was kind of their on-call guy when I was around here, because I could come at the drop of a hat and do a job. The very first one he did was like this lady's husband had died very suddenly in like his mid-60s, so not that old. She'd been like a housewife, just like a sweet, later middle-aged, early elderly lady who didn't really know that much, and her kids like didn't really seem to be helping her that much, and she had a big beautiful house and she was downsizing. It was like a rough time for her, and she was like so thankful to have us there moving her. And I started realizing, oh, this actually is like a really good, nice service. And now I'm like, dude, if I ever move, I don't want to do it. I want to hire somebody.
Yeah, I know.
It really is nice.
I always tell everybody, I'm like,
it'll
it'll change your life. That's what I tell a lot of people. Like, I've never done it before. And you get a lot of people up here because of where we live and the clientele, where people are very like, even when they're in their 60s or something, they have to give me a backstory of why they called me in the first place. Like, I'm like, dude, it's fine. Like,
because there is a little bit of that culture that kept us from starting this 6 years ago,
right?
Where we were like, dude, everyone here has a truck, or they'll just go rent a truck themselves and do it. It's a little more individualistic. People don't make quite as much money,
right?
But I've realized now that next time I move, I will hire movers, and like anything that is not truly worth moving, I will sell and replace. He knows it too.
That's a great point.
But I really realized that it actually is like a good service, and it really truly does help people in often difficult times. We've moved a lot of people that were like recently widowed, or they were going through some kind of rough time in their life,
lost their home, medical stuff. I mean, all that stuff happens all the time.
I hadn't even thought about that aspect of it, though, until you brought it up. How messed up it is that you cannot, legally at least, give them a discount.
Right. It's pretty bizarre. And it makes it kind of challenging. Like, how do you, besides just your name and the job that we do, which luckily my guys do a great job. I do a lot of follow-up with my customers, and I try to stay interactive as possible.
Right.
And same with my guys. While they're there, they're building relationships, and that's the biggest way, which you should always do, I guess, in any business. But that is the only way here that we can really be different than any other moving company around.
Do you feel like some of the other ones maybe hire like they just don't have as good of a worker base, or a little less reputable people working for them?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, and it's pretty interesting here. And like David was saying, with the people that live in this area, that includes the people that might want to start a moving company here. Like, what kind of people are starting moving companies here? Because it's pretty funny. Maybe 25% of my calls or so, people are calling me and they feel like I'm not like a real company, right? Like, well, you guys are going to show up, and I'm like, yeah, I'm just all right. And I just fill out an online form with them. I'm sending them a confirmation email, and they're like, oh wow. And a lot of times people are calling me because the other movers didn't show up.
Oh, gosh.
So yeah. I mean, and that happens all the time here.
Now, do you think the guys that aren't showing up, do you think they're guys that are licensed, or guys that are doing it like under the table?
I would say most of the time they're probably not licensed. That's what I've gathered.
Which they should be able to do without a license, but I am just curious.
Yeah. I know. And it's weird because in some ways it helps me, right? I mean, unfortunately, I don't want it to be that way.
It makes it so there's less competition.
It makes it so there's less competition. Yeah. So,
which makes me wonder. It would be really interesting. It would probably be a pretty long deep dive, but I would love to figure out how these laws even came to be. Like, was there one big moving company in Oregon at one point that in Portland or something that pushed for this so they couldn't have any competition?
So outside of ODOT created a job that's not real, right? They create that's not necessary. They created this guy who runs our tariff. I don't even know why they call it that. They call it the tariff is the book that we follow for all our rules and pricing and all things like that, right?
Yeah, that doesn't sound like what a tariff normally means.
I know it's very interesting.
So like the rule book is called a tariff.
Yes, tariff ARB 200. But the interesting thing is, he is there to be our liaison to ODOT.
He's there to help you, Travis.
He's there to help me.
The government is helping you.
But all he does every time I'm on the phone with him is just any question you have. He sounds like someone on a phone operating dialing system where, oh, okay, if option number 7 didn't help you, go back to the home screen, right? Just, well, you're gonna have to refer to your tariff book, like it's just not very. Or man, these are the rules, like these are the laws, and like if you just follow them, then if you just suck the government off a little bit, then everything's gonna be fine. But my whole point is just setting up the context of who this guy was and how little he actually does for us, who we have to pay through an additional tax that we pay. Just individually as movers on top of just our business taxes and things like that.
A couple things just dawned on me. First of all, are there any regulations in this tariff book about tipping? Like, is that technically against the rules? Because when you're moving, you very often get tipped, and it's kind of a big part of how the guys working get paid, because it boosts your pay generally at least a couple dollars an hour throughout the day.
Exactly.
Exactly. Generally getting tips like in the 20 to 60 range.
As far as tipping almost just kind of falls into tipping, I think, like in any other.
So it's
business.
just the people that get them are supposed to report them.
Are supposed to report them. Yeah.
As if.
Yeah. We report every time.
Yeah, his guys always report.
But so I was going to say about Matt Muldoon, the guy that is our liaison to ODOT.
The guy whose job is to help you navigate the problems that his organization has put in your path.
Yeah, exactly. Self-induced problems. And even he doesn't have all the answers, funny enough, to a lot of my questions. And one of the questions I asked him was exactly what you said a few minutes ago, about I'm like, I have to know. How did we get here? Why is this a thing?
He probably didn't know.
And he didn't. And it was like, and it was a very general answer where he said, well, the problem was, and he talks like this, the problem was in the 90s, there was a lot of people moving up to Oregon, and there was some bad companies that were basically pirates and holding on to people's stuff.
I think the pirates are the Oregon State.
I know. So I'm not doubting that some of these things didn't happen, right? But that's also what we talk about in free market and things like that is you're not going to use that company again, or you're going to use references to hire the right company. Like, so if someone is stealing your stuff and you didn't investigate this company.
Yeah, the guy that you find like in the phone book who has like an actual business address, who is now not in the 90s, but now has like reviews online and a website. That guy's probably not going to steal your stuff.
Right.
I mean, it's just like all the time. For my freelancing as a filmmaker, I get clients and I usually charge them. If I'm doing a commercial for them, I might be charging them $5,000, $6,000 to make a small commercial, and I always have them pay me half up front.
Right.
And they're never afraid to do that because, like, I'm a public guy. I have a body of work.
Absolutely.
You can see. It's like, wow, what? Like, I should be afraid of you not paying me. Not exactly. You're not afraid of me just disappearing. Like I'm the public.
That's
one.
Exactly right. That's exactly.
It'd be a lot easier for someone to just stiff you after you've moved them and not pay. Have you ever had to deal with that actually?
It's been few and far between. It's been few and far between here. I just dealt with someone just a couple days ago that was trying to stick me for a bill. Most 90% of my customers call me after a move and tell me how amazing my guys are. So sometimes it's very weird to hear this guy that, they packed everything and then then they packed the paint that was supposed to be there for my contractor, and it's like a lot of the things were him just
sounds like their mistake.
Yeah, a lot of things were his mistake / his misunderstanding of how things work.
People pack their stuff really, really poorly, and then it's like comes out of a box broken. It's like, I mean,
yeah, and even that we're actually not if someone packs something, we're actually not liable for the transport.
Yeah,
so
there's a difference between you drop their mirror loading it onto the truck,
right,
and
right.
they pack their glassware for their kitchen poorly. That's your fault, man.
Exactly. But yeah, there's actually a lady that owes me about $1,500 right now, waiting on, and it's hard because she's on Social Security. So, I've let some people, because we always get payment that day. You know
technically, would it be technically illegal for you not to collect that bill?
And I've often wondered that, actually. And just like the other gentleman, I actually, all this back and forth, I was like forced to like take some money off for like a damage that may or may not have been there, or just because he wasn't happy with the service, but really just extorting me. Not wanting to pay his $1,300 bill. That's all it came down to. And just really like belittling me and patronizing me and things like that. But anyway, but then someone who, and even that actually, I don't know if that's legal, right? I had to I took a couple $100 off the bill, which I don't do. That's not a thing, right?
But when you're trying to collect, you'd rather get 900 than nothing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. When this guy wants to extort you and just not pay you, and just
it's like, okay, I deal with this and I get my 1,300, or I break the tariff rules and only get 900.
Yeah, and I don't really know what the rules are on that.
Which that's a normal thing in business. I mean, people go into debt all the time with like credit cards and then eventually settle it for less, and they're kind of losing out, but on the aggregate they're still making money, and getting some of it back is better than nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So it just shows like they did not think these things through.
No.
Now what? Okay, so I got two questions for you. So first of all, his brother Cooper, who's also been in a few of my films, you'd recognize him. He's started a new branch of this company, Skinny Wimp, up in Eugene.
Yes.
And Eugene is probably a fair bit more expensive living costs-wise than Medford is, but he's still bound by the same exact pricing as you are, right?
No, it's actually, but it's by area.
So it is at least somewhat regional. Okay, because I was going to say, how could a moving company even survive in Portland if they're making the same as you are here?
So the two-guy rate here is the 101.35, and then the two-guy rate up in Eugene, I believe, is 124 something.
That's probably about how much higher.
But honestly, the way the cost of living has gone up around here, I mean, houses and things like that, they're basically the same as here.
Do you know what the rate is over in Klamath Falls, where I live?
109.
Wait, it's higher than it is here?
I'm pretty sure. I just read a paper. Yeah.
So
if I do a move,
that's so stupid. So the reason that's stupid, guys, is that I moved from Medford to Klamath Falls because I was getting priced out of Medford by the Californians. When my wife and I were having our second kid, we were like, okay, we need to buy a house. And we spent months here looking around Medford. And in the range we were looking at, it was like, we're going to move into a 900-square-foot crack shack. And then when we did find something halfway nice, we'd make an offer only to find out that there was a full price offer, mind you, only to find out there were cash offers even above that, because the housing market here is crazy. So we moved to Klamath Falls, where houses are literally about half the price as they are here.
Right. Yeah, they are.
So you think the rate's higher there?
I'm pretty sure it is. I literally just read one of the new papers that I got in my book, and I think it said commercial 10 in Klamath. See, and it's really weird because it's everything's terminal to terminal. So it's wherever you're starting, then wherever you're ending. So if you're starting in Klamath,
you still charge the Klamath rate.
Yeah, but I can't. If I do a move from here to Klamath, I actually would have to charge my rate here. It's wherever the move originates. Well,
see, that's so weird, because I've been doing over in Klamath. I have a guy I've been working for. I won't say their name because now I'm wondering if they even know that this might be against the rules. But he gets work through a portal through like U-Haul. Like U-Haul has a thing where you can say, oh, we want a mover, and then U-Haul contacts him, and then he has me and a couple other guys that do work for him over there. And I want to say the move it's like a deal that U-Haul does. It's like, oh yeah, it's like $200 for the first 2 hours or something.
I mean
it's like a flat rate thing where a lot of the moves are little tiny storage unit things. I come out, I do like 90 minutes of work, but I get paid for 2 hours, and then I get like a $35 tip from the customer or something. So I make pretty good money for what it is. But now that I'm thinking about it, like, are them and U-Haul just like operating?
Well, and that's kind of one of the weird things. I said, like, even with other storage units that are here in the valley, they've approached me about, hey, some sort of move-in special that they could offer combined with a moving service that I'd show up, and it really wouldn't make sense hourly, just honestly business-wise. But and then even if I wanted to do it,
even if it did make financial sense, you couldn't do it.
I probably couldn't do it. Yeah.
And see, that's crazy though, because now are there any other tiers? Like, is there a residential and a commercial? Like, if you go move, like a wing of the hospital, can you charge more for that?
So actually, it's kind of interesting for some reason, but I don't because of the pricing in the area and what are the clientele and things. I don't know. Maybe I'll try it this summer. But actually, with businesses, you can charge whatever you want.
Really? Okay, so that's
business to business. So
so apparently they don't think anyone could ever rip off a business.
Yeah,
they just don't like a business that probably has more valuable stuff than a lot of homeowners do.
Yeah,
I've seen the stuff people move. There's generally nothing worth stealing.
No. The people that are often afraid of you stealing something, they usually have the least valuable things.
Yeah. What few things that people have that like could get stolen? Like I've moved like gun safes, but I've never moved anyone's guns because people just take that stuff in their personal car.
Exactly.
They put that stuff in their car. They put their jewelry in their car. Like, what are they even worried about people stealing?
Oh wow,
the big furniture smuggling ring that's gonna go like sell old sofas for $50 on Craigslist.
It's pretty hard to hide an armoire.
Well, because like I know people who've been devastated while they were moving. Like my cousin and her husband, they were moving from Texas out to here, and they stopped at a Cracker Barrel. But they were moving themselves, and their truck and trailer got stolen while they were at Cracker Barrel. And it was like a weird thing where it kind of looked like the Cracker Barrel management. I'm pretty sure it was a Cracker Barrel. I like Cracker Barrel, so I'm not trying to throw them under the bus, but it looked like maybe their management was in on it because like the security camera on that side of the building wasn't working, or
that's weird.
some weird thing. But like my cousin lost my cousin's husband, he lost like I don't know 15 or 20 guns. I mean they actually lost stuff, but that's because they were moving themselves. When you hire movers, you take that kind of stuff.
Right.
You hire them because you don't want to move 100 boxes and couches and beds and mattresses.
Big furniture.
So I don't even know like what they're worried about.
I'm not either.
When you're moving a business, that's when all of a sudden you're moving computers, you're moving equipment.
Right. Maybe confidential documents in boxes. Stuff like that. Yeah, absolutely.
Or you're like going into their building, because I know you haven't done any, but before you were running the company, I did some moves like medical centers and stuff. I mean, we were moving like in like places that there probably could have been stuff that you could have stolen.
Right. Yeah, I know.
But apparently you can,
But apparently I can rip them off.
I guess you're supposed to still be licensed, but like I don't understand if they're worried. If all they wanted was for you to have a license, it would kind of be just like any other business.
Right.
It's these price controls that blow my mind.
The price control is very interesting. And the weird thing is too, there's technically a man rate, which hardly anyone charges, because we typically have to show up with our truck still to bring our equipment. A lot of times people have us take trash out of there afterwards or something like that. But technically the man rate is something like $79 an hour. And that means they only value my truck at $20 an hour. My truck that cost me $800 a month in insurance and maintenance, and
you spent tens of thousands on up front.
Yep, exactly.
Or paying off.
Yeah, I'm paying off these trucks, and the state says that my truck is worth $20 an hour.
Which is funny because like anyone can get people to help them move.
Right.
I mean, there's nothing stopping you from having anyone help you move.
Right.
Probably they could get a fine if they paid them, but like if you did it under the table. The truck is what people actually need. That's like what actually sets a moving company apart.
It's true.
Is is the truck.
And it's the convenience of not having to mess with U-Haul or us going down and picking up a U-Haul.
Right.
And or the customer having it there.
But it's the least valuable thing.
But it's the least valuable thing hourly, my truck. So, yeah, it's kind of interesting.
Now, one last question, and then I think we should go and kind of show everyone some of the paperwork you have to deal with.
Yeah.
Because it's getting dark and pretty cold out here.
Oh, it's freezing.
It's been like so warm the last couple of days. It was like 70 degrees yesterday.
I think it's like 48 degrees right now.
Yeah, now it's supposed to be like 29 tonight, which is pretty cold for this side of the hill in Oregon.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had to dress back up after getting back from the move because it was starting to get chilly. What does the state of Oregon get out of this? Because I feel like there's got to be something in it for them that has them. Like, are they getting? What are you paying them besides just taxes? Or are they not even making that much? It's just a weird bureaucracy to be in your way.
It's more of a weird bureaucracy. So this year with my household goods application, that's initially $100. But then I actually just got a piece of paper that I need to, in order to update that, I have to take all of my bill of ladings from last year, calculate those, and it's 0.1%. So it can be no less than 100, but it's whatever that is. So
okay, so a minimum of $100 or 0.1%.
Yes, of your gross. So besides
what's that for? To run like the state?
That that pays the made up job, Matt Muldoon.
That's what I mean, as far as taxes go, that's pretty minor. But
yeah, it's pretty minor. But it's just one more thing where it's like, what? Really? This is bizarre. Like I said, I don't really know what it even goes to, what it goes for. And yeah, when I go inside, actually, I'll show you some of those paper. I'll show you that paper, and I'll show you some of these other things as far as us having any ability to raise our prices or anything like that. It's completely out of our hands. And Matt Muldoon actually doesn't do that much. He's supposed to be our representative to make it happen. All he does is send us these forms that we sent. There was all these hearings. It was like and how much waste of money is that?
Like hearings like at the state house?
At the state house. On the state level, there's hearings. And it's like a motion, and there's like, these are all the movers involved, and they want to be a part of this tariff for this much money, and they're saying that this needs to happen, and that's how it is. And
so you know what's really funny about that is like even Congress doesn't operate like 100% year round. In state legislatures, there's like some states where they only meet like once every 2 years or something.
Right.
So they only operate for a very limited amount of time. I don't know how long it is in Oregon. It's maybe a couple months. And people get so mad like whenever the Republicans walk out because they don't want to vote on something, and they're like, "Oh, you're wasting our limited time." Apparently, they thought this was important enough to waste their precious legislative time.
So when anybody complains about the price, I just say, take it up with the state senator.
That's
whatever.
like
take it up with Congress.
That's like the one benefit to this is that when people complain about the price, I can say, "Hey, it's not my fault."
Yeah, I always say, I'm not pulling this stuff out of a hat. Okay,
like you can be a nice guy and be like, "I'd love to give you a discount, but I can't."
But I can't. I genuinely cannot. So, yeah.
Well, let's go inside here and show the people some of the of the nonsense you have to deal with.
Actually, I think you guys find it pretty hilarious. Like, it looks like
it's comical.
It looks like I'm doing something besides moving. Like,
it looks like
a bigger scale.
It looks like this is like the most complicated job there is.
Totally. So here we are in my kitchen. It's pretty nice working from home. I just recently did this remodel. It's been my life for the last 2.5 years.
I know that is. That's all I've been doing on my house for the last year.
I know. So, my little pantry area, remodeling that bathroom. But it's pretty awesome. I can grab a bite, grab a drink, and then head out here to my office.
Come out to deal with the not so awesome tariff paperwork.
I really like it, though, because I don't work in my house. So it's kind of nice to be able to get a little bit removed.
Oh, yeah. Just wait till you have kids. That's why I've been so happy to be in my office. So here is Travis's sweet office. I was the one that told you have to make this an office. Yeah. You were like, "What am I gonna do with this weird room?" And I was like, "Bro, this is like the greatest like dad office I've ever seen."
It really is. I love it, and it's not a part of the house. That's what's kind of gnarly out here. It's like a shop that I converted into an office. But I got my computer set up here. Got my wireless printer set up. I've got
the old Little League pictures.
Yeah, Little League photos.
I think I'm in this one. I don't think you are though. I think you are already moved up to Babe Ruth by then.
I've got all my my skinny whip gear in here.
Nice.
Which actually I was supposed to give you one of these. Actually.
Oh yeah. Don't give me one of those gay flat ones.
I know you don't like those.
Yeah, give me a real men curve their brooms.
And then this is one of the original.
Is that the original?
One of the original skinny whip shirts.
That's from when, like,
everybody could write their name on the back.
The shirt's tiny.
It's tiny. It's tiny. Corporate just sent me a bunch of extra stuff, so I just put it up.
Oh, so I thought that was one that like Cooper or someone
had.
actually wore. I was like, who wore this? This is like a child's small shirt. It's like a small shirt.
So this guy here is the annual reporting by household goods movers, and this is that 1/10%. So I got to fill out this form so I can re-up my household goods application. I just don't know why, and it's so funny because the government is so not efficient at anything. They have all this information they want me to refill out, and it's like my information is on 20 pieces of paper with them. Why don't I have an automatic account set up with them where they can just debit it? I don't understand. So yeah, these are just all my bill of ladings that I have to keep after every job, and I actually might have to get new ones because I think they might have changed some of the specifications or these are just old ones, and there's a lot more to do even on there that you're supposed to put on there. You know, as far as drive time, when you stop, when you took a break. I mean, we just do the hourly, and then you sign off on your insurance, and then who was on the job, and that sort of thing. So this, for example, there's a reason there's 3 of these booklets is because they just eventually give up and they're tired of all the updates. See, I get little packets of these update sheets every couple weeks. So you're supposed to take your old ones out and put your new ones in, but I don't even know what these pages mean, what they do. The administration sections, all these weird codes, section rules, carrier name.
All this paperwork to move someone's stuff from one place to another.
Yes, and it tells me it actually has lists of all the licensed movers in the state.
How many are there?
That's kind of interesting. Honestly, I don't know how many there are in the state, but even in our area, I think on the list, I think it's in the 20s, 20 to 30 like registered movers just in our area, which is funny because I don't really see a lot because a lot of people don't want to get the trucks. A lot of them do it without the trucks, so they don't want to deal with the paperwork and the taxes. And
you're talking like a lot of the companies that just don't have their own truck.
Yeah, they end up using a rental service like U-Haul or something like that.
Penske or whatever.
Yes. So as you can see here, even this was January 18th, 2017 list, and then I have a whole new book, and this is what the sheet I'm going off of now. And I actually forgot to touch on this earlier. So technically, I can charge more for certain items and for certain weights.
Like heavy things.
Yes, heavy.
Isn't there a fee? Like you're supposed to charge like $90 for something above 400 pounds?
Yeah, I think that's in here somewhere. So
Yeah,
even
I
here,
remember that when you were moving gun
even
safes.
here, piano, pool table, organ, $50.20 base handling. So I'm actually supposed to charge additional $50 per flight, $24.40 per added flight. It's insane. Playhouses, doll houses, animal houses, satellite dishes. They have a price on everything and what I'm supposed to charge. So honestly, the only ones, I might be incriminating myself, I don't know. I don't think anyone else follows these anyway. But the only ones that I charge extra for, because they are more specialty, are pianos. So I follow the piano ruling for that.
Is there one for like gun safes?
And then there is one for...
Because I remember that was something that we did a lot of.
And technically, look at this. For a big screen TV, you're supposed to charge $124 for it.
Dude, like most people at that point, if they had that, would just sell their TV and buy a new one.
And just buy a new one.
Because that was clearly, that's so archaic.
Yeah.
Like that was for TVs that were made years ago. Nowadays, TVs are so easy.
Exactly.
65-inch TV weighs like 60 pounds.
And so, and maybe you guys might say, well, you're kind of complaining about your hourly rate. Why don't you charge some of these other services? The problem is that's not a very clear and concise way to operate your business on an hourly rate. How do I show up to someone's house, charge them hourly, and then, 1 second, and then go through this list, and then, all right, here's $345.76 in surcharges. It would just be very weird. I feel like I would lose business if I actually charged these other things, and I couldn't just charge a higher standard hourly rate that covered everything. So that's actually the reason I don't, because I'm convinced that I would lose business if I was sticking people to these laws, 100%. And so this whole book is just filled with your areas that you're allowed to move from, your designated counties, things like that, where you're allowed to operate. So there's a town right over the hill, Ashland, that's right there. So I'm covered to move in all these counties in a 50-mile radius. That's local moves. I got a call last summer that maybe I wasn't registered to move in Ashland. I said, what do you mean? It's 14 miles away. They're like, oh, no, you can move someone from here to Ashland. I'm like, okay. No. You might not be registered to move someone from Ashland to Ashland.
That's insane. I mean, for all intents and purposes, Ashland is a suburb of Medford.
Yes. And that's how ridiculous these laws are. And I actually just yelled at him. And I said, I'm like, this is ridiculous. I don't care. I'm going to do whatever I want to do. I'm licensed. It's in my 50-mile radius. I don't care. Well, I don't care.
Well, here's the thing, though. You're probably one of the only movers in the state that would have actually stood up to him that way.
Probably. Yeah.
You were just telling me, like, before we were talking about this, like, how many, like, most of the movers don't even seem to complain or even notice how weird.
Well, and that was something very interesting to me is how more people don't know that this is going on in our state, in your county, right, in your area, to your local business guy. I feel like I'm out here preaching the gospel to every single customer that gets on the phone. I tell them it. Obviously, not in a 35-minute podcast, but I tell them, I give them the little, 45-second minute rundown. These are the prices. This is why. This is where we get them. I don't pull them out of a hat. Yada yada yada. I comply with all those things so I can stay in business. And people's minds are blown. They really are. People are like, what? That is bizarre. That's the biggest word I get, I think. Bizarre.
I mean, when you started telling me about this, I was blown away. I was like, what is going on here?
Yeah. So I wanted to find, if we can not shuffle around too much here. I might have just ripped them up because I was pissed off. Oh yeah, all my stuff. So I'm authorized. Oh yeah, that's great. Thank you so much. Oh man, where did it go? Honestly, I might have just thrown it out. These court documents. Like legit. Oh yeah, I did. Okay, actually, I didn't rip them up, but... Okay, here we go. Look at this. Motor Carrier Transportation Division of the Oregon Department of Transportation, Tariff Docket 1186. In the matter of petitions affecting for higher motor carrier intrastate rates, fares, classification rules. And it's this whole thing where people are notice of hearing. Like, we're wasting tax dollars. They just did this on January 28th. I guess in Tualatin.
I think that's up at Portland.
But, I mean, either way, like, there's government agencies spending money on asking, like this company here, right? I mean, we're all, I think I'm on another one as well, but even this American Moving and Storage LLC, they're petitioning, would like to raise household goods mileage rates by 7%, would like to raise hourly rate for one man in a truck, would like to, like, they're just, this is them pleading to run their own business the way they want.
Right, yeah, it's like you couldn't, here's a novel idea, just get rid of it. I mean, or at least, just, you don't even have to do that much to add a range to it.
Right, and I've had so much stuff like this. And so we're actually supposed to charge for boxes as well, which is fine. I think we should be able to make money. That's one of the few things we actually sell is a box. But they even control the price of a box. So even in this petition, would like to raise their small box rate from $1.85 to $2, medium $2.55 to $3, large. I mean, it's insane. You can't even sell a box for the price you want to sell a box for.
This is the world that Bernie Sanders wants.
So this is where that goes.
Yeah. So you have a very special weapon up here. Can you tell us about this?
Yeah. So this guy right here, Rufio. Know that movie? Okay, it's Hook. So my dad actually used to work at Warner Brothers for about 22 years. Building movie sets. And this is actually one of the swords off of the movie Hook.
so you don't just have a gay mall ninja sword in here. That's actually like pretty cool.
Yeah.
No, if you really needed to protect yourself in here, you got much more.
Yeah.
Much more effective weapon.
A shotgun in the corner.
Classic businessman. The shotgun in the corner.
Yeah.
Oh. Dude, I love your office. Your office is almost cooler than mine. Except that you don't have a gun booth.
I don't. But
I
want to do this in here. Like make this.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be.
Well, I mean, the guy that you bought this from had because I've been telling you forever. I was like, dude, I think he had guns in here because whoever you bought the house from had his NRA life member stuff and hunting stuff.
You know what I just realized? I just realized I've been getting a dead guy's mail the whole time I've been living here. Ted Wharton. And that's probably why he has Wharton, Pennsylvania up here.
Oh, because that's his name.
It was his last name.
Wow. That's like I remember my principal at my elementary school when I was a kid, Phil Campbell. There was a town somewhere called Philip Campbell, I think. And every year him and 5 other guys named Philip Campbell, or every few years, whatever, would meet up there.
No.
So bizarre.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Then he killed himself.
Oh, God.
True story. My mom found him.
What? And I'd love to be able to go out and bid stuff ahead of time, but it would hardly be, it makes it less worth it, to go out and how am I supposed to know if something's 100 pounds? Is that on this one? Where? Oh, right here. So 155 per 100 pounds per flight of stairs.
How do you know? Can you weigh your truck every time?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I mean, let me think of how much would that add? Say you you have 10,000 pounds of stuff, which seems very possible for a lot of the bigger moves. You have 10,000 pounds
that
of
sounds
stuff.
a lot. I mean, maybe it's more like 5,000. But
okay, so 50.
Way.
So there's 2 flights of stairs, so that'd be 100. 50 times 100 times. What does that come out to? I mean, it's not even that much. It's I think $155.
Well, it's just weird.
Yeah. Third-party services other than crafting and assembly, $30.65 per shipment. What would that even be? Putting stuff together?
Yeah. No, because there is. So part of our hourly rate, we actually include, putting stuff together in a part. But you're actually supposed to charge an additional for putting a bed together in a part.
Really?
Yeah. So it's something weird, $7 and then this is all the price listing for boxes, and they have it broken down by dish packs, gun and rod cartons, lamp base cartons, mattress cartons and covers, plasma TV boxes, which a lot of these are even insane. They're $149 to buy a legit plasma TV box.
Really?
So the people up in Portland buy these boxes all the time. So the guy up in Portland he makes a bunch of money off of selling boxes, and he goes,
how much does that box cost to get? $10?
So,
no, a fitted foam box?
The nicer ones. Oh yeah, they're probably realistically they're probably $20 or something, probably.
So and then you're allowed to sell it to him for $150.
Yeah. And then
not even allowed to. That's what you have to sell it to them.
Yeah,
for.
so you have to, or it's $41.85 per use. So if they have to use it, it's $41.
Who does that? If you live in Oregon, especially, just keep your TV box, people.
Yeah. The pads, tape, bubble pack, and what kills me on this is how do they know what I'm able to buy it for? How do they know what my margins are in order for me to be able to turn a profit or anything like that?
Well, some of these, if you can't turn a profit selling a cardboard box with some styrofoam for $150.
Well, that. But yeah, I'm just even talking about like the medium and smalls and all that kind of stuff.
Well, like, man, some of these, I'm trying to see which ones here are really crazy. Labor overtime charges, $59.15 per man.
Yeah.
So do you do that?
I do that over 8 hours. But
Dude,
people are never happy.
Well, of course they're not happy. I've done moves that were 24 hours long.
Yeah. And people are not happy to pay that, but that one
that's a more reasonable one.
That's more reasonable. I think it's
just because I think that's something that most companies would probably institute in general. Like, hey, if this move takes us more than 8 hours, we are going to charge you more. And you want to pay your guys more.
And technically, though, too, which is kind of a weird one, because if we ever have to squeeze in a move for someone at like 2:30 in the afternoon, and maybe it's only 4 or 5 hour move, technically you're supposed to charge overtime after 5 o'clock.
Some of these, man. Unimproved roads, not mountainous. Unimproved roads, steep, hazardous, and dangerous. It gives you like prices per loaded mile. Like, who keeps track of this? You'd almost need to hire like some nerd to follow you around and just track all this stuff.
I know.
To actually charge it.
And that's what I said. I'm like, how much time would it take? Would I have to pay somebody to like track all this stuff? And then people are going to feel like we're ripping them off with all these fees and stuff like that.
Yeah, right.
It's not. This is not straightforward. And the problem is, a lot of people say, why don't you put this out there and your hourly rate out there? I want people to call me because I like to talk to people and tell them why. I don't want to just have this out there. They're going to find somebody else, and they don't care if they're registered. See, and that's the problem, is then I'm forced to do this, and then other people don't care. I talked to this guy that who wanted to be a mover for me this winter. Because he's not registered, so he can't be advertising and things like that. So he's super slow. When we had a really busy December, and he's like, I got one move this month. Can I come work for you? And I said, probably not. I said, it's a conflict of interest, really. I mean, I don't want you to. Sounded like a nice guy. I'm sure he was. But the whole point there is just like, those are the people that someone else would find if they got to see my pricing ahead of time, or like what I'm supposed to charge, or what all the rules are. That's why I like letting people call me, so I can talk to them and sell my price and why it is what it is.
Yeah, make them like you and make them realize, I can trust this guy with my stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Or else it's just like, oh, it's just pricing. All right, I'm going to find somebody else. And I go, there is no such thing as finding anybody else for a lower rate. There's no such thing. And people, I feel like I'm lying still. Like, there's no such thing. Like, don't hang up. Book me, because it doesn't matter.
Dude, I still think the funniest thing on here is that they have, this just shows how archaic it is and how slow the government is at changing everything, that they have ATVs, dune buggies, tractors, go-karts, golf carts, gun safes, grandfather clocks, hot tubs, jet skis, motorcycles, all these like huge unwieldy things. And on the same list, big screen TV. Yeah. That shows they haven't updated this in like 15 years.
Dude, that's hilarious.
To catch up with
because a big screen TV back in the day is like, what, 200 pounds? 250 pounds?
Or more. Some of those giant rear projection, not even
giant
plasma. Remember the rear projection TVs?
Yes.
That were like giant boxes that you always get people on Craigslist now being like, it's a great TV, man. It's worth $200. And we're like, no, it isn't.
It's not.
It's like 480p. It's barely DVD resolution.
Oh, and I did find, right below that. Okay, assembly or disassembly of furniture at cost plus, and I've done that plenty of times. I'm supposed to charge
third
that.
Party. Like if you're, but that's third. Is that if you hire?
Oh, maybe.
Is that if you like hired someone for them? Like what even is this stuff? Like
I don't know. I don't know.
And I want to know how they actually came up with these too. Like, is there one company in Portland that's like really well established, that, like lobbies for the certain prices, or is what is his name? Matt. Is he just like sitting there coming up with prices?
Basically.
Like pulling out of his butt?
Yep. That's basically it. So it's very weird. I don't follow any of this pricing stuff because it's just too confusing, and I wouldn't be able to get a clear enough message across to my customers. I mean, yeah.